A wonderful good morning, dear LinkedIners in Germany and all the world. Please greet with me together Ron Kaufman from Singapore. Ron, how are you doing? Apparently, it's now 5 p.m. with you, right? I got
It's
10 a.m. in the morning.
5 p.m. in the afternoon. It's Thursday. I've had a fabulous week. I've been looking forward to this LinkedIn Live session, Ilke, with you and all of your fans and followers. So delighted to be here.
That's wonderful. So as they are pouring in, let me shortly give you guys a briefing. So this is a LinkedIn Live, and the fantastic part about LinkedIn Live is that we can engage with you nearly on real time. So please now, once you have logged in and see us on the screen, please write down. This is a live, and always in live we see some tone and picture issues. Please write down whether you can follow us, you can hear us, you can see us, and also please write down from where you are tuning in so we know the spread of our live talk today. So, Ron, thank you so much. I'm really delighted to have you on my show. I'm following you for quite a while now because we share one destiny, and that is traveling, and we love traveling, right? But since the pandemic hit, we both are probably not so much traveling. At least I'm not.
Yeah.
Ron, for those that don't know you, yeah, which would be a mystery for me, but we are so many people on the planet. Could you just formally introduce yourself?
Sure.
What is it you are doing? And let's start it from there while I'm checking the comments.
Perfect. Okay. So who is this guy, Ron Kaufman? Most people who would get to know me through LinkedIn or in a professional manner would come to know that I'm a specialist in the area of service quality, service improvement, internal service culture. It's a field that I've been in now for 3 decades. And I've written 15 books, but the one that went to the New York Times bestseller list is this one called Uplifting Service. And that's really the brand that I'm known for. But I don't want to just only tell you about the professional side. So I thought I'd share with you something about the personal side. I met my wife, Jen, when I was scuba diving in Australia. Now, both of us are very serious scuba divers. We've each done more than 2,000 dives over the course of our lives. We've been together now for 18 years. And one of the things that's unique about us when we're scuba diving is I don't like to take the camera. I never want to be bothered with having a camera. She loves to have a camera. And so the nice thing about that is when we get amazing photos like this, and I'm the one in the photo underneath the manta ray, she's the one taking the picture. The one other thing about us in that regard is we have a hobby inside the hobby. We like to pick up trash. So whenever we see garbage on the reef that obviously shouldn't be there, we're the ones who bring it up. And sometimes you find really weird things down there, like a time when I actually found a 10-speed bicycle on the reef that somehow had fallen off a boat. And of course, who's going to ever bring that up? That would be us. So a little bit about me, Ron Kaufman.
Wonderful, wonderful, Ron, and it's really a delighting experience. That bike, incredible. Could you ride it, or was it
Actually,
not in that condition?
it had only been down there for maybe a few months. And so
Okay.
it had not completely corroded. And
Yeah.
we handed it over to the guys who work at the resort. And I think they cleaned it up and turned it into a beautiful working bicycle again.
Wonderful. This is what we call recycling or upcycling, yeah?
Yeah,
With the bicycle.
the theme that I use for that is I want to leave this place better than I found it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter where I am, no matter who I'm with, if I can participate in some way that encourages, uplifts other human beings, I want to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Ron, let's have a look at the comments. Some people and viewers are joining us. So we got Mehmet today in. Mehmet, hello. Welcome to our show. Then we got Sebastian Moll from North Rhine-Westphalia. This is Germany. Then we got Dilek from Turkey. She says hello. Andre Eisele. Oh, Andre.
From Ireland.
From Ireland. And you should know, Andre, he's a plane painter. Have you ever seen these planes that are painted with this with this tiger face. Have you seen that one?
No.
Yeah.
But that
This is the guy who paints these wonderful planes, but
yeah,
he does also some football clubs advertising on these planes and things like that, you
beautiful,
know. So I'm
beautiful.
telling this because you are also an aviation nerd. So Andre is the guy to know. So Mehmet says he's from Istanbul. Wonderful, Mehmet. Yeah. Does someone hear the echo? Oh, is there an echo, Sebastian? I'm sorry on
Is
that.
there an echo, Sebastian?
Oh, this would
Oh,
be not so good.
maybe not so good. I'm
Please,
teasing you.
please, yeah, Sebastian, please monitor this and let me know if you have some more echo. Sometimes you have to switch it off and log in again, and it disappears. Just have a look. Then Kai Osov says that's the principle of every scuba diver. Oh, we got a scuba diver here. That's fine. So he probably means the waist, right? Professor Gerald Grübler, thank you for joining us.
Nice
From
to
where are
see you.
you? Please to write it down. Catherine, she's from Switzerland, from Basel, one very nice person out of my
Lovely,
community.
lovely.
Konstantin from Berlin, our main city in Germany. Then, we got India, Jagmohan Yadav. Hello, Jagmohan. And Kai says, no echo here. Okay,
Hello,
wonderful.
Kai.
That's that's wonderful. Okay, so I will need to switch this off again. So while we have talked about who Ron Kaufman is and why I am following Ron to learn from him. Ron, my first question actually is, let me show the slide. When and how did you actually decide to enter the stage? Has there
Mhm.
been a life before the stage? Because I'm asking this because many times, and I feel that myself, when I was in a 9 to 5 job, I was in front of people giving product seminars, trainings. So it was part of my job. But I
Right.
would not call this as a stage present, as a
Mm,
speaker. So
mm.
was there also a transition for you from a corporate or a freelance job to a stage job? How
Uh,
did
let,
that go on?
let me explain. It actually goes quite far back in my life. When I was in high school, the
Right.
sport that many of you have heard about or seen, or maybe you played, called ultimate frisbee, it came into being. It was literally invented for the first time when I was in high school. And my high school was the second school on the whole planet that actually learned the rules of the game. Now, if we met in person, you'd realize I'm a very short person. I'm not going to play football. I'm not going to play basketball, but they let me play frisbee. And the first
Okay.
rule of the game is called the spirit of the game. And what it
Okay.
says is that the players on the field are responsible for the spirit and the quality of play. There's no referee. So if you have a disagreement, you have to work it out. And so that idea of leave this place better than you found it and the spirit of the game were very influential. And what happened was I went to university and I became the captain of the brand new Ultimate Frisbee team. Now, if you're having trouble finding me, it's because I had hair. And I understand that that's a little different than what it is I have today. Now, I did not enjoy so much the competition. What I enjoyed was organizing people coming together so that they could
Mm.
play. And so I ended up being the guy who knew all the players. I knew all the sports, but I was really good with the microphone. So they would always give me the microphone when there was a big event to be able to explain to everybody else what the heck was going on. So, for example, when we organized a national Frisbee festival on the Capitol Mall in Washington, D.C., and 25,000 people at the same time threw their Frisbees up in the air, it's because someone said to the microphone, 1, 2, 3. And of course, that person was me. So not only did Frisbee give me an opportunity to start using the microphone and develop that public ability to present, but it also gave me travel privileges. I'm the guy who took people to China to use Frisbee as a way of citizen diplomacy between their school children and our traveling adults. And I actually ended up being put into the Ultimate Frisbee Hall of Fame, which is, a little bit wild and odd. But in answer to your question, how did I end up getting on stage? It started from very early in my life. Comments?
Let's have a look if we have some comments here. So Sebastian has reconnected. Now it's fine, he says, regarding the echo. This is wonderful. Ute is from Nuremberg, Bavaria. And Sebastian Mertens is coming in from Bremerförde. And he says, perfect sound and tone. I'm really glad.
Great.
Wonderful. I've seen that there's even a Facebook like at this moment, but I can't see who that is. So for all of you guys, I'm streaming right now on LinkedIn for the engagement. And anything that comes up to your mind, please write it now down, whether it is the scuba diving, the bicycle story, the frisbees, or anything to do with our topic of today, that is engaging speeches. And that we will then later on derive some tips for our LinkedIn postings. Write them in the comments. Ask your questions, and we will take all these questions, and I'm sharing those with Ron to answer all your questions. Because we are here, of course, to entertain you a bit, to inform you, but we would like also to answer every question that you may have. I have to apologize, Ron. I've seen that you've shown some slides automatically that were covered by the solo layout. But
No
I think we can carry on now. Okay. My next question then to you is, and this is I'm following you, as I said, for a while now. I'm seeing. I watched some of your videos. With large audiences, incredibly large audiences. And you are, and I'm admiring really this, you are a person that is on the stage, and you are engaging a large audience. Thousands of people are engaged. And this really sets you, in my view, completely apart from other speakers that are great too, and they have also other models and other types of stage performance, let's say. So, what is the fascinating part for you on engaging audiences during a keynote? Why don't you leave them alone?
Okay, can you go ahead and show slides?
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Good. And by the way, you said that you were doing solo view during some of the other slides. If you don't mind, can I just entertain people so they can go back and see the Frisbee slides? All right, I'm going to take you back, folks. Yep. Okay, so how I got into speaking was through Frisbee. There I am in the middle of the team. I'm the guy on the microphone. So when there's a tournament, when there's a festival, when there was an event, they kept giving me the microphone because I was good at it. And so when I mentioned what happened on the National Mall in Washington, or going to China, or being put in the Ultimate Frisbee Hall of Fame, just want you to enjoy the pictures, because it's all part of preparing a presentation, is thinking about what will be the right visuals to match it up. So in answer to this question, the fascinating part for me always has to do with what I call connection and constraints. So the connection is, I want to be with people like I really want to be with you, and I want them to want to be with me, but there are always certain constraints. So for example, how far away is the audience? For example, how many people are in the room? For example, can I actually even get off the stage to be able to walk into the audience? For example, if I do that and it's a large audience, are there cameras on me that will take my image in the audience and put it up on the screen? Because if there are not, I don't want to leave the stage, because I'll leave a lot of other people out when I'm down in the audience. For example, how much time do I have? For example, am I the opening speaker? Then I have to make connection from nothing. Or am I somebody after other speakers, in which case I better know what those other speakers said so that I can connect what I'm going to say to what it is they've already said. So those are all kinds of things that have to do with connection. But there are constraints. The connection part for me has to do with the spirit of the people. So here you have a mixed race group, mixed age group in Malaysia, and obviously they were willing to have some fun. But if I wanted to do this in India, I had to line them up more appropriately. I mean, you can just kind of see the way the hands are in this picture versus the way people are in this picture. Well, that's kind of the difference between a leadership team retreat in India with a corporate client and something else. Now, here's another example. I've got the Singapore government, but nobody's going to stand up. Why?
Okay.
Because it's the Singapore government. And here's an example in Romania where every single person wants to be sure that their face is seen. And so I have to make sure that everybody is smiling, but that nobody covers somebody else's face with one of the books. And I've got to be the one that designs having the ladder so that the photographer can climb to the top of the ladder. So when he or she is shooting the audience, everybody's face will be seen.
Yeah,
and sometimes I also get surprised, like in Saudi Arabia, where I had this whole client group come outside for the photo, and someone took the Frisbee idea literally and actually took my book and threw it up in the air. But this last photograph or this last setup is a good example. I was speaking at the Crown Prince Court in Abu Dhabi, and they have a requirement that no one's head can be higher than the crown prince. So I had to give my entire speech sitting down. Now, you can already tell what kind of energy I have. Can you imagine? I had to constrain myself to be able to still make a connection. And the last photo I want to show you about connection was taken in Saudi Arabia when a woman came up to me after the keynote speech and she said, "Can I please have a selfie with you?" Ooh. And this is one of my most cherished selfies with an audience member who says, "I want to have a picture with you." And I'm going, "Of what?" But in her culture, that is all you need to show is the eyes and the hands.
This is the appropriate, yes.
Constraint and connection.
Yeah.
Back over to you, Ilke.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, this last picture is the one that is appropriate for that culture, for sure. Yeah. And I've felt then while you were sitting, you are now. Let's talk about body gestures. You're sitting now, and you're basically moving with your upper body. I can sense that from the photograph. So did you now move your energy in the upper part of your body, right? Or did you still move slowly and not so fast moving? How was the body language there?
Well, it's very important in this digital online camera world to contain your gestures and your movements within the space that we have. If I suddenly said within the space that we have, you wouldn't even know what I'm doing with my hands. So obviously we have a more constrained space. And I'm being quite liberal with the speed of my voice and with the magnitude of my gestures, like leaning into the camera with you so early in the presentation. If you were a corporate client, I would not be doing that early on in the presentation. I might be more like this. Today, we're going to cover 3 very important areas, all of which can create value for you with your customers. But Ilke, by the time I've been working with them for 15, 20 minutes, they're going to know that I can get pretty passionate about this. And then it'll be okay for me to be more physical in my gestures. And by the time we're done, I probably could even say, "Did you enjoy this event? Tell me in the comments."
Wonderful. So you give it a slow start, and then you intense the energy, the movement, the power in your speech as you go. Wonderful. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay, let me check 2 more comments I'm seeing here on the right-hand side. Okay, Kai goes back to scuba diving. Let's read that. Scuba diving helps to calm down and recharge from any speaker engagement. If Ron are on the stage, I'm sure he can connect to every single person in the room because of a trained scuba brain, to every tiny piece under the surface. I find that a fascinating metaphor now. So he says scuba diving helps you because of the say concentration.
That's right. Well, when you're scuba diving, your breath is very loud. So it's like a chant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like that when we're on the surface. Our breath is usually relatively quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this mantra going in the background for the entire dive. The other thing is that when you're scuba diving, the whole world is doing this. Every breath is causing you to come up a little bit. Every exhale is causing you to go down a little bit. The movement of the water on the reef, whatever the current may be or the temperature may be.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just naturally not moving in the environment with such a familiar sense of being on the ground. It's a very different flow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I get up on stage, for me, it's like I've just entered a new scuba dive.
Oh, really?
And I want to
Wonderful.
feel the energy in the room. I want to get a sense of how high or how low is the ceiling. How are the acoustics affecting all of the other people? Are the chairs that they're in comfortable or not? Have they been sitting for a long time or did they just come back from break? So all of those kinds of things are sensing what's going on in the environment. And I think that you're right there, Kai, that scuba diving lends one to be more sensitive to those kinds of things.
So so you're analyzing within a fraction of seconds or a minute how the climate is inside the room, and
Absolutely.
according that your energy level, start level, is adapted to that.
The only difference that I would say, and I know that you come from a German background, and I know your profession can be quite analytical because it's required, is that I don't go in and analyze it.
Okay.
I go in and I'm part of it.
Okay. So you dive in again.
I dive in.
You dive in.
I'm literally part of it.
Part of it. Wonderful. Very good. So, by the way, Ron, he says, fun fact, do you know it is possible to play Frisbee in 50 feet? Okay, great. So let's talk a bit about what we are doing in the digital world right now. So we are apparently in a LinkedIn Live. Yep. And I have to say I'm enjoying the LinkedIn Live shows with my guests here, and today particularly with you, because the energy is although we are probably 6,000 miles apart, from Singapore to Europe, I feel totally connected with you. There's no difference. I think if we would have now dinner together with a red wine, we would have a fantastic similar chat here.
Yeah.
So what is your take on this? How do you take now this stage performance that you have into a LinkedIn Live or any type of live stream, and then further down, not everyone has a LinkedIn Live access, because it's given only to certain people, and this only on application. So many people make Zoom interviews. They interview their people by Zoom. What would you derive from the stage performance to a LinkedIn Live or to a Zoom interview? How can we benefit from your experience?
Yeah, very good. Very good. You can pop my slides up. Thank you. Yeah, very good. So first of all, we all know that the world has changed dramatically. And I used to do 100 airline flights minimum every year for 30 years. So when the same kind of movement suddenly became not a matter of just travel for speaking, but it was also travel for a medical situation, then we all had to stop moving quite so much. And that included me. And so I literally got settled down in my home country here of Singapore, where I've been living for the past 30 years. I'll explain why later on towards the end of our time together. And the idea of getting reaction or feedback wasn't from the audience laughing, and it wasn't from people clapping, and it wasn't for getting a standing ovation. It was, how do you do that? So like many other people, I have a LinkedIn post series. And I put up a number of things on a regular basis so that there's something there. And I usually get, several thousand, a few thousand looks, and then some likes and some comments. But I posted this one just recently back in September, where
Ooh.
I went from Singapore to Seattle for my
Nice.
mother's 90th birthday. And I did it as a surprise. All my siblings flew in, and I didn't even let them know that I was going to be able to make it. In fact, I told them that I could not make it because who knows in today's world. And at the last minute, I walked in, I said, sorry, I'm late. And our family had a wonderful time. But after 48 hours, I flew back to Singapore. And in Singapore right now, if you're coming from the United States, you have to go into 14-day quarantine in a hotel room, and you don't come out for 14 days and nobody else goes in.
Yeah.
And I went into quarantine to do that. And I wrote this post about I'm in quarantine, but for 90 good reasons. And I got 30,000 views.
Brilliant.
442 likes, 78 comments. So I think the lesson from this is the way you get great interaction is you tell people about your mother. Just kidding. You say something personal, or you can say something professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I was ranked the #1 global guru in the world last year and the year before and the year before. And I wanted to let people know, but you have to do it in a way that's authentic. And so I said, I'm blushing. For the 3rd year, global guru, I received the award with humility. And if you could read the rest of the post, it says, my purpose is to take care of other people.
Yeah.
And that's what I promised to do with my life. 37,000 views, 685, 305 comments. Now,
this is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely
the world
brilliant.
has changed. I designed a studio in my home from which I would be able to do broadcasts like this one. And Ilke, this is not a picture. It's an architect and interior designer's rendering of what we would build. This is what we actually built.
Yeah, very similar to the rendering. Yeah,
similar to the real thing. But since COVID, what I want to do is take a moment here and bring people inside the studio because, hello.
Let me take you into a solo.
Take me into solo.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm now actually inside that studio. And I've got the microphone and the screens, and over there are more cameras, and there's a camera here, and there's a camera over there. None of that existed before COVID.
Yeah.
I just had the room. But now that I'm going to be constrained to being here, I'm obviously going to put a lot more attention into it. Now, I'm going to add one more thing to your question, which is, how do you get more on LinkedIn posts?
Yeah.
How do you get more interaction, feedback, reaction on LinkedIn Live? And so if you would please bring me back, I want to see on the StreamYard. Am I still with you? Yes, I'm still with you. I'm going to move the comment section right here to the middle.
Yeah.
And what I want everybody who's on this to do, if you're on with LinkedIn, if you're not on Facebook or YouTube Live, where we also are streaming right now, I want you to go into the comments section and type in something that you are doing to create more interaction with other people when you cannot see them face to face. Are you doing more Zoom calls? Are you writing more letters? Are you making more phone calls? Are you walking with a mask but making an effort with your hands to actually connect with someone, or with your eyes because you realize they cannot actually see your mouth smiling because it's behind a mask? So if you would please, I want you to go to the comments right now and type one in so that we can see what other people are doing.
Correct. And this is the really the fun part when we got the engagement coming in.
And people may be shy right now, but so I'm going to go back to my slide and I'm going to show you, this is a Zoom bar and I've highlighted the chat.
Yeah.
So if I was actually doing something with a client, like giving an online speech, I could come to this point and I could ask the question I just asked and say, right now I want everybody to go into the chat and type in your answer, and we're all going to see everybody else's answers.
Fantastic.
And that's been working very well, Ilke.
Fantastic. So a clear call to action and a clear readiness and the signal. Look, I'm here to engage with you guys. I'm not
That's
the monologue speaker. I want to engage with you. I want to dive in.
very good. Back over to you. Would you take off my slides?
Yeah. So Katrin has mentioned there's also strong messages to dive into the experience. Annie, I love it, she says. Yeah, wonderful. Okay. Yeah, wonderful. This is exactly those messages that I wanted to hear from you, Ron. Thank you so much. So my final question regarding the content creation would be now, obviously, I mean, we have agreed on this LinkedIn Live a couple of months back. But we have started to go into more detail more or less a week ago with your follow-up email. And I've given you a framework, the questions that are in my mind. So now you had time to prepare, obviously, the performance, let's say. So what are the aspects, if we take this as a real example,
Right.
what aspects have you now taken into consideration, into account, so that you are represented as a person, as a brand, in the most in the best possible way?
Yes. Yes. Very
So
good.
let's go to the slides.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So the first thing that I'm always curious about and I'm looking for and I'm listening for is, what is the background mood, the mood of the space that I'm going to be speaking into? For example, people could be very excited and optimistic and enthusiastic about the future because I've been asked to give a speech for the company called Amazon.com or Zoom, where their stock price is skyrocketing and the future is incredibly bright. But on the other hand, I could be invited to do something for the leadership team of an airline or a chain of resorts or a restaurant group where they're really struck. What's the mood? And it's not just what's the mood of the industry. It's what's the mood of the company. What's the mood of that group? What's the mood of the leader? And what mood are they trying to create in the event itself? So let's use you as an example. Okay. It was clear to me from your very first message that you're an uplifting guy. What are you doing? You're making a contribution to your community worldwide through LinkedIn Live.
Thank you so much.
What spirit do you bring to it? You want it to be enjoyable and educational.
Absolutely.
Well, that's important. You're not just doing entertainment.
Yeah.
You're doing entertainment with education and encouragement. You want people to go the next step. So mood is number one. Number two is, what's the history? Where did this come from? Where was this client? Where are they going? What's happening now? So in the case of your LinkedIn Live, what I wanted to understand is, how long have you been doing this? Why are you doing this? Why did you start doing this? What were you doing, Ilke, before you started doing LinkedIn Live? And even that one little question that I asked you when we first got online with each other, you'll notice I already used it.
Absolutely.
When I talked about the word analyze.
100%.
Right? Right. So I'm digging into the history so that when I speak in the present, it's more relevant for that particular audience. So we have, what's the mood? What's the history? Who is the audience? What's going on here? Who's been brought to this? Is it wide open to the public? Is it a dedicated leadership team? Is it a client doing something for their customers? And then the final one is, what's the future they want to create? What are the objectives? What are the outcomes? What are the applications, or as you like to call it, calls to action that will be appropriate for that particular audience?
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Gold bombs, really gold bombs. Thank you, Ron, on this one. So when you draft the engaging...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, yeah.
You called it a gold bomb. And I'm curious, when did the word bomb become something positive? And do we want to keep doing that and saying that, given the world we're in and the future that we want to create together as humanity? What do you think?
Good question. Never thought about deeply about it. It is a positive connotation right now, and we are as content creators using it right now as a replacement for added value given to
Yep.
the audience. We don't think about the bomb in that case as something negative, but it could be misleading in different cultures, of course, absolutely clear. And yeah, one should be sensitive about that word for sure. For me,
And
it's
I
a
want to,
positive. For me, it's a positive one.
right, right. And you could also use gold nuggets, or you could use gold bars or
Yeah.
whatever. But I want to point something out. We live in an era where humanity is beginning to learn about the critical importance of collaboration all over the world. We all are very clear we don't want to get into another world war, and we better start
No,
cooperating a lot more quickly because of climate change, for example.
absolutely.
So I think if we look at our language, it got a little off kilter when people say, I want to make a killer presentation because
Ah.
we're going to crush the competition, and let me show you my bullet points so we can hit the bullseye. I'm saying, hey, how about let me give you an uplifting presentation so we can stand out from the competition with my key points so we can achieve the goal.
Very nice, Ron. Yeah, elegantly done, elegantly done. Absolutely smashing. So, and that is important when you go on stage that you also adjust the language. Correct.
Absolutely.
The message is totally clear. Ron, okay, so when you go on to draft your engaging speech, what are the main aspects to consider? How do you engage an audience? We've discussed largely about this, but is there any aspect that you would add on this one? Aspect that we haven't talked about so far?
Yeah, and I'll answer it, if you don't mind, in the context of online speeches, because
Yeah,
that's what I'm
that's what
being
we
asked.
want today. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I'm always looking for good images
Mhm.
that represent what's going on for the audience. So, for example, just now, I used the example of the killer speech and crush the competition,
Crushing it.
and I was giving a speech for professional speakers. And I can put the link into the comments later on, or I'll
Yeah,
send them to you
please.
here. Yeah, so people can watch it afterwards. And I wanted to make this point about, look, we're professional speakers. I want you guys to clean up your language, or at least be consciously aware of the potential cross-cultural impact of the language that you use. And so I didn't just say the words killer, crush, bullet. I actually showed pictures.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
Yeah.
were, now
Oh,
with a
yeah.
corporate client, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to their website. I'm going to go to their marketing materials. I'm going to go to their awards program. I'm going to go to their internal newsletter, and I'm going to pull out good images and put them in my presentation so that it's not me, the expert, presenting about something, and then we'll figure out later how to apply it. I'm going to show them how to apply it by using their imagery tied into my presentation.
But in all fairness, now, Ron, what I can say is this was now a situational reaction that, by in all fairness, in all pre-planning, you cannot plan that. I've used that word gold nuggets, the other one, and you went in situationally, and you cannot tell me right now you were prepared on this, because you were not. How did you do that? Is that the experience now, or do you have a technique for this?
Well, it is a matter of experience, but it's not only experience of being on stage. It also has to do with how are you going to still learn. And for the past decades, I've not only been a student of service, but I've been a student of philosophy and history and human biology. And, I'm a curious guy. And one of the fields that has fascinated me is the evolution of human language, because the language we use shapes the future and shapes our experience of the present, and it connects us in cultures, et cetera, et cetera. And so I've started listening much more intentionally to language, not just for discerning things like gold nuggets or the prior word, as you said,
Yeah.
but listening from the standpoint of the etymology of words. like, where did the word come from? So,
Mhm.
for example, very few people know that the word conversation, like we're having, con actually means towards. So if I say like contribution, I'm towards something. Conversation is being in language together towards something. And so now when I listen to words, I'm always curious, did it come from Old Germanic? Did it come from Latin? Does it have a Sanskrit derivation? And what did it originally mean? And then
Okay.
how are we
Mhm.
using it today?
Okay. So that triggered basically your philosophical thought. Where does this come from? And what was your first question, your first reaction, immediate reaction on this one? Yeah, I never thought about it, where these words came from. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful,
And it's
wonderful.
clear that the word bomb came from war.
From war. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty sure. So we got someone from Singapore, Ibtisam.
Hello, Andrea. Fantastic.
And Andrea is coming in. She
Andrea's
says,
from
hello,
Romania,
gentlemen. Yeah.
but she's from Romania, but I think she's in Dubai.
Yeah, she's in Dubai right now. Yeah. And she got a
Beautiful.
sister here in Germany, she told me. I had her on my LinkedIn Live as well.
Oh, she's
And
fantastic.
she's fantastic. And I told her about my dream to have you in my LinkedIn Live. And she said, we make it happen.
Good. Thank you, Andrea.
So Kai says Ron Kaufman is absolutely amazing how you take your key speaker engagement, how you show a simple video call. That's wonderful. Yes. It's a pleasure, says Andrea. And Catherine says impulse because it is your pulse, your heartbeat. Yes, great. Yeah, so we're coming now to the next question. And I'm now getting a bit personal with you, Ron, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Yeah, you live in Singapore, and for me, Singapore is. I've never been to Singapore. I've been to 65 countries around the world, but I've flown over Singapore, around Singapore, but never been in Singapore. But what I'm seeing is, of course, it is a fantastic place. Now, you are American and you are living in Singapore. Is that right?
Well, I'll answer your question to what you've asked here, and that will fill you in on what's actually the case.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I came to Singapore in 1990, so that's 30 years ago, because Singapore, the nation, had a problem. Singapore is that tiny little dot right down there. Now, they don't have any natural resources. There's no agriculture. There's no oil. It's just a geographic location with 5 million people. And in the 60s and the 70s, they had low-cost manufacturing for Motorola, for Philips, for Seagate, for Sony. But what happened, of course, in the 70s and the 80s was all of that moved to China. Now, because it's an English language speaking country, because it was a British colony, they also had the call centers and they had the data entry people for the banks and for other airlines, etc. But all of that moved to India. So this tiny little country of Singapore realized that it had to dramatically increase its value in some other way in order for people around the world to say, we still need Singapore. We'll still do business with Singapore. We'll still have an office in Singapore. And what they decided was that they needed to become excellent in service. Excellent in service. So if you would, there we go. Now, they brought me here to Singapore to help them start a national service quality training center. And of course, what was the first thing they did? They gave me the microphone. I'm good at it. And so I was the guy who would be able to explain things to audiences about what we were trying to do. And I worked with Singapore Airlines and I worked with Changi Airport. And I've now been in Singapore for 30 years. And, if you went through Changi Airport today, you would see that at the bookstore at the airport is this great big sign that says to the whole world, hello, hello.
No way. This is cool.
Yeah. But nobody's going through the airport anymore.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
now, my passport used to look like this. That was my US passport. And in fact, okay, you'll smile at this. It got so thick that I went at one point to a German immigration officer, and I handed it to him, and he looked back at me, and he could not believe that it was real. It's like, no, 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 no. There must be something wrong with this. But
Yeah,
after
it reminds me of my passport. We got in Germany two types of passports: the regular one with 24 pages,
yeah,
and the second one with 80 pages. The
yeah,
24 one, I had a huge consumption until the mayor said here in our village, you should be taking the 80 pages one, and
yeah.
please take it as a second passport. So I got two passports. One is
Wow.
full, and the second one, I just got it just before the pandemic hit, so it's still
Yeah.
empty.
Okay. Well, my passport changed as well, Ilke, but it wasn't from one US passport to another. In 2013, I became a citizen
Yeah.
of the country of Singapore.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so when you said, are you an American or Singapore? Now, by citizenship,
You are
I am
Singaporean.
a Singaporean. But of course, you can't take the loud and proud American out of the body, because that's the kind of people we are.
Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your great personal story then, Ron. So we had a lot of fun today. Very, very nice comments. And also thank you everyone who was engaging on this LinkedIn Live. I'm coming now towards the end. You can watch this if you haven't been attending my LinkedIn Live, our LinkedIn Live from the beginning. You can attend it in the replay, of course. You can view it on LinkedIn in my activities list, or even on YouTube. So said that, I always finish the presentation, the live run, with, say, a call to action. Do we need the slide for this, or I take the...
Yeah, you can leave the slide up, but I want to
Okay.
say something. I mentioned earlier that I
Mhm.
gave a speech to the speakers community.
Yeah.
And in the private chat for you, and you can move it over into the comments, are 2 links to YouTube.
I see that, yes. Mhm.
One of them, the first one, is me giving a speech for keynote speakers. So it's a speech for speakers at a speakers convention
Okay.
in 2018, and I was the opening keynote speaker live.
Mhm.
And you will see a very good presentation to watch from a customization and engagement standpoint live. The second link is the closing keynote speech to the Speakers Convention Conference this year,
Mhm.
when it was all done online.
Okay.
And it's another very good speech to watch, because it shows how did I design in all of that interactivity, et cetera, but for an online environment. So if you watch the first one, then watch the second one, you'll see the same dynamic, but in a very different delivery model.
Okay. I will put them directly straight into the our main board, so that everyone can see it from there. Wonderful, Ron. Thank you so much. Very, very gracious of you.
There's one other thing that you can do as a call to action. I want to tell you about what I'm going to be doing going forward, and then leave it with you to take your life forward. I've been known as the Ron Kaufman service guy for customers and colleagues, and it's been great. It's been a career. I've been able to make an identity, make money, travel around the world. But when I think about what I want to do with the rest of my life, it's not just for the customers and the commercial. I want to be of service to humanity, to all of life on this earth. And so I've taken this idea of serve, and I say, what's underneath that? Care. What's underneath that? Love. And so the brand of Ron Kaufman is no longer the brand of the customer service guy who can help you make more loyal, happy customers who will buy more. It's the guy who's going to help you serve better, care more, and love life. And so if you'd like to stay connected with me after this, of course, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can follow me there, or you can find me online at ronkaufman.com.
Wonderful call to action. Wonderful. I love that a lot. I love that a lot. So this is what you have done this year. You worked on this year.
I've been working on it, and I'm going to keep working on it.
Keep working on it. Looks wonderful. Looks really great. So said that, Ron, I thank you once again so much for being my guest today. It was very, very honorable to me. And yeah, let's hope we can meet one day in person. Yeah.
Okay, I would love that. I would
Yeah,
love that.
in
Yes.
on one of the speaker conferences or wherever it is. If you are in Germany, give me a ring. I will come wherever you are and host you. Likewise, if I'm in Singapore, I will come there.
Well, you already proposed the red wine.
That's right, absolutely. Okay, so for all of you viewers, thank you so much for viewing, and we will see you later. Now, my outro. Ron, please stay a minute with me.
Sure thing.